a liminal office-like space that seems vast and endless. It's seemingly devoid of any activity and therefore noise, or at least if it weren't for the infernal buzzing of the fluorescent lights. Its constant noise accompanies your thoughts of panic and dread. The realm is an extreme anomaly that mimics certain aspects of our reality, but horrifyingly so, like a glitch in a video game. Speaking of which, video gamers use a term called no-clipping. No-clipping refers to a character's movement not being clipped by physical constraints, and no longer does their environment confine them. Usually done purposely by exploiting bugs, but sometimes does happen by accident when a character interacts with something not intended to be interacted with. This iteration follows the premise of no clipping into the backrooms, but clarified that it's done so by having a person interact with something they shouldn't. Once a person ends up in the backrooms, there is no escape. You are forever damned to wander the endless space, and you're not entirely sure you're alone, as strange noises can be heard, and something that you could almost catch a glimpse of, but just barely miss. It's believed you could attempt escaping, however, doing so comes with an extreme risk. You may wind up in a more dangerous place than you already find yourself in. That's right, it's a bit of a gamble, but there's an extremely small chance that you could escape. However, if you're unsuccessful, you will most likely end up in level 1. After all, what choice do you have? Unlike level 0, which is drowned in yellow walls and carpets, level 1 consists entirely of concrete walls and concrete floors. The relief of being in a new area is short-lived. Deep rumblings of machinery can be heard throughout the level, as well as creaking noises from unforeseen rooms. Not everything is completely different. This level also has that distinctive buzzing fluorescent lights, however, they are much dimmer and are prone to blackouts. On top of all of this, you are definitely not alone. All the better that you keep moving. It's stated that you will run into hostile entities as they lurk all over this level and are aware of your presence. Some say that, like how you first arrived, you must interact with another glitch in order to even have a chance at ending up at level 1. However, that's pure speculation, and there's no definitive way of knowing what is the signaling point of transition, which makes the next level all the more confusing. Level 2 is the most dangerous and unknown area in this backrooms. Very few individuals live long enough to make it to level 2. These unlucky individuals who make their way to level 2 will most likely meet their end here. The level resembles an industrial maintenance tunnel. It's dark, confusing, and extremely hot. That's right, the decor isn't just for show, since it's believed that the temperatures in level 2 can reach up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. If you were to encounter an entity in the narrow hallways, your journey is about to come to an abrupt end. Escaping the backrooms is extremely low, but escaping level 2 is said to be nearly impossible. You now long for the simplicity of your arrival, but maybe that can work. The only way to escape would be to accept the backrooms as your home. You must truly believe it. And then you should end up back at level 0. Even if you were to return, your fate still remains. You will perish here. This backrooms truly earns its scary reputation. Those are believed to be the only levels in the backrooms, but nobody knows. After all, how can you hope to chart the unknown? But there are rumors that there may be more. I mean, is it so hard to believe?
Aren't you sick? Sick of worrying about money? Worrying about relationships? Worrying about goals? Worshipping God? Fearing hell? Dreading the end? And trudging through life? Don't you want to be in the back rooms? Since the beginning, all reality has been intertwined, as the Creator originally intended, but through a series of unfortunate circumstances, reality was broken into 4 pieces: the good, the bad, the mundane, and the weird, a struggle for power and dominance. When the dust cleared, everything was set in stone. Lucifer was cast down into the fiery pits, humanity was stripped of its gift, and as for us, abandoned, a non-contender, deemed as an oddity, to perplexing even for the big man himself, to untamable for the fallen angel to influence, and completely forgotten by humanity. But why dwell on the past? After all, times change, and so do we. We've decided it was best to take a page from the other realities. After all, the saying goes, if you can't beat them. And to ensure results, we've taken a page from all realities. Won't you come join us? First things first, in order to visit, you must first establish a thread. You must first truly want to come here. Anything less than pure desire will not suffice. Once a thread has been established, then we can move on to phase 2. You must find an anomaly, something that isn't supposed to be. Now this can show up in different ways. Maybe a lamp that doesn't look quite right, or a door you know isn't supposed to be there. Maybe just a weird hallway. Once that is completed, we can move to phase 3. You must complete the ritual of renounce everything that shackles your soul to that plane. Only then will you be freed into the back rooms. Congratulations! You've made it. I'm sure you'll appreciate the renovations made. After all, a good host must make a good impression on its guests. Now you might be wondering what this place is. Well, it's simple. The Backrooms, an enigmatic labyrinth of infinite corridors, offers a glimpse into the mysteries that dwell in the spaces beyond comprehension. A lot to take in, I know, but just take it in strides. Here, reality dissolves into abstraction, leaving you to navigate an existence shaped by dreamlike logic, where familiarity and strangeness merge. The Backrooms are not a singular place, but an ever-expanding network of levels, each defying the rules of space, time, and reason. Let us explore 3 such levels, where the mundane transforms into the surreal. Level 0. The Backrooms often begin here, in the sterile embrace of Level 0, known as the lobby. It is a place of paradoxical simplicity and overwhelming unease. Endless corridors of yellowed wallpaper, fluorescent lights that hum ceaselessly, and the scent of damp carpet that clings to the air. The halls twist and turn in defiance of logic, leading wanderers in circles, yet always hinting at something just beyond sight. Level 0 is devoid of time, a place where hours bleed into minutes and moments stretch indefinitely. It is a reflection of human solitude, where the monotony of its architecture mirrors the quiet corners of your minds. And yet, this level is not entirely lifeless. Faint sounds echo from distant corridors, footsteps, whispers, or the occasional flicker of unseen movement, a reminder that one is never truly alone. Level Fun, a curious departure from the muted tranquility of the Backrooms. Level Fun is a space that might, at first glance, seem inviting, like the backdrop of a child's birthday party. Brightly colored decorations hang from the ceiling, and the faint sound of cheerful music echoes through the air. Long tables are set with party hats, plates, and endless slices of cake. It's as though time has stopped at the peak of a celebration, capturing a moment of unending festivity. But beneath the surface, there's an eerie quality to Level Fun. The joy feels forced, the laughter hollow, as though the space itself is trying too hard to imitate happiness. The air carries a saccharine sweetness that lingers too long, and the cheerful music grows repetitive, looping endlessly until it begins to fray at the edges of your mind. It's a space that blurs the line between whimsy and unease, a reminder that not all that glitters is gold. Despite its unsettling undertones, Level Fun invites you to ponder the meaning of joy and its fleeting nature. It's a space where celebration feels eternal, yet empty, a paradox that leaves you questioning what lies beneath the surface of delight. Should you find yourself here, perhaps the key is to take it all in with quiet observation, to appreciate the illusion without being consumed by it. Level 9. Another unique layer of the backrooms, a place veiled in a dim and perpetual twilight. This level takes the form of a sprawling suburban neighborhood, with rows of houses that stretch endlessly into the horizon. The streets are silent, the only sound the occasional rustle of leaves, carried by a gentle, unseen wind. The streetlights flicker sporadically, casting long, wavering shadows that seem to move even when nothing stirs. Level 9 feels like a memory caught between waking and dreaming, familiar yet strange. The houses, though inviting at a glance, exude an air of abandonment. Peering through a window might reveal a living room frozen in time, with furniture arranged as if someone had just stepped out, and yet the spaces feel lifeless. The faint smell of rain hangs in the air, even though the skies hold no clouds. The deeper you wander, the more the neighborhood shifts. Streets loop back on themselves, and the architecture becomes subtly warped, as though reality itself is growing tired of holding its form. Sometimes, a faint light flickers from a distant window, but upon closer inspection, it vanishes. It's as if Level 9 is playing a quiet, endless game of hide-and-seek with you. Perhaps a perfect symbolism for the longing for the good old days. Nostalgia is more often than not an empty feeling. Clouds the mind too often and mess with your present perception. Of course, the environments are not the only thing to accompany you. What good is an adventure without a little bit of conflict?
Shh. I wouldn't wander too far if I were you. You might not like what you see. Just like with the human mind, getting too deep into thought usually leads to no good. Anxiety, mental breakdowns, and despair. In this case, going too far into the backrooms could mean running into them. There is no single form these entities take, and there is no pattern to their malice. They are fragments of the hellish realm, far darker than any human mind can fathom. Some stalk the halls as shadows that ripple and distort the air, slipping just out of sight. Others are whispers that seep into the mind, unraveling reason and memory until the victim is lost to themselves. To name them is to misunderstand them, for they do not exist as we do. They are hunger, rage in the absence of light. They are not constrained by form or logic. Some drag themselves across the damp floors, their shapes shifting between the grotesque and the familiar, as if mocking what it means to be human. Others blend into the walls, waiting to peel away at the first sign of movement. There are those that do not hunt, but simply exist. Their presence an oppressive force that smothers all hope and thought, leaving nothing but despair in their wake. The backrooms themselves seeming to shape their adaptive capabilities. A flickering light may herald the approach of something unseen, or a distant sound may pull wanderers deeper into the maze. Even silence becomes a threat. The absence of noise, a deafening reminder of how alone and how watched one truly is. The air is thick with their malice. The walls hum with their awareness. Escape is not an option. Survival is not a promise. What makes these entities most terrifying is their unpredictability. They do not follow rules, nor do they adhere to any natural law. They appear and disappear without warning. Their motives, if they can be said to have any, unknowable. embodiments of dark are the essence of the unknown, chaotic, infinite, and merciless.
Oh, hey, don't get the wrong idea. Just a little bit of tough love. After all, we wouldn't want you to wander too far and find an get lost. Get lost is what I meant to say. But we'll come back to that later. We just want to make sure you're as cozy and comfortable as possible. After all, we love you and would just die if you left us. But enough about that talk. Let's talk about the fun. That's right, it's not all about mesmerizing empty spaces, you know. Thanks to that mundane bore of a realm you call home, or used to, right? Right? Lots of things you enjoyed were mimicked. Yes, sirree. Never a dull moment here in the backrooms. You can play video games, go shopping, lounge around in the pool, etc. And the best part is, there's literally an infinite number of spaces for entertainment, so you'll literally never run out of things to do. No more having to go to work, no more being bound by your responsibilities or even reality. Just sit back, have fun till your heart's content. Food will not be an issue either, as there's a never-ending stockpile of goods. So you can have whatever you want without having to deal with those ridiculous prices. And wait, that's not all. In time, once your body becomes more adjusted to the realm, you'll be able to warp your surroundings, so not being bound by reality will take on a whole new meaning. You could even play God if that's your sort of thing. Although I'd be careful during the transitioning period, as some nasty glitching can occur to the realm that may be more than you could chew. But of course, you might miss the feel of your home, especially during the more festive times. Well, fear not, because I have great news. Hit it!
It's Christmas in the back rooms, may not be the one you planned. But don't you know it is the season to be glitching through the ceiling to a one-tone wonderland.
Ho, ho, ho! Isn't it wonderful? Truly mesmerizing. It's that special time of year. Extra care was taken in coating the back rooms in that Christmas magic. Only the best for you. Really wanted to nail down that childhood feel. Bring back those pleasant feelings of joy. Now, this isn't just surface level stuff. A lot of the levels are completely reworked. Most change radically. For example, the water levels can be completely frozen over. They make great ice skating rinks. Lively snowmen can completely overrun suburban areas. Snow falls in countless areas. It fills the rooms with a pleasant white aesthetic. Christmas music can be heard all over the back rooms, giving off that more energetic vibe. Some levels, exclusive to this special time, will make an appearance. Maybe Santa's workshop? And this applies to entities as well. Really unique ones pop out during this time. Some extremely pleasant ones, and some less than so. Of course, the levels that aren't as radically affected will still be adorned with decorative lights all over the walls. Assorted in a wonderful pattern, guaranteed to leave you in awe. Decorated Christmas trees can be found literally everywhere. Luxury ones, too, no cheap ones. Presents litter the floor. Each one contains something special, although the nature of it can be mixed. Oh, and the food. Can't forget the food. Guaranteed to fill you up. Such a festive time. Far superior to that other realm. Christmas in the back rooms is a time for reflection. Here, stripped of the distractions of the outside world, you're left with only your thoughts and the strange, quiet beauty of the season. It's a reminder of the fragility of joy, of the warmth of the core memories. The back rooms don't offer answers, and neither does our version of Christmas. But in the flickering lights and haunting echoes, there's a sense of something greater, a timeless, boundary-less celebration of the human need for hope, wonder, and light in the dark. And this isn't the only holiday to make an impact in the back rooms, like a certain holiday that is of a sort of spooky nature. Of course, you'll have to stay to see it yourself. Truly something to behold. Don't you see how much was done for you? How much love we have for you? So why don't you stop fighting and let go? Be here. Be here forever. What do you say?
Welcome, wanderer. You have traveled far, endured much, and yet here you stand, weary and searching. The backrooms have seen your struggles, the weight of a life burdened by endless expectations, the isolation that lingers even in the company of others, and the unrelenting march of time that leaves you breathless and yearning for escape. Here, in this realm beyond the confines of reality, you have found sanctuary. Yes, the backrooms are not without their shadows, their uncertainties. The halls stretch endlessly, and their silence can feel oppressive. But consider what you have left behind, a world that demanded so much, yet offered so little in return. Was it not filled with its own shadows, its own endless corridors of disappointment and struggle? Here at least, the walls do not judge you. Here, the quiet is not a void, but a balm, offering you respite from the noise of a life that never truly let you rest. Think of the struggles that weighed upon you, the ceaseless grind, the moments of joy that felt fleeting and hollow, the relentless need to prove yourself to a world that refused to see your worth. Here, none of that matters. The backrooms do not ask you to be anything but yourself. There are no deadlines, no expectations, no impossible standards to meet. You are free to exist, to simply be. True, the backrooms have their dangers. There are whispers of entities, of things that dwell in the periphery, waiting and watching. But is the world you fled from not just as dangerous? Were there not forces there, both seen and unseen, that sought to pull you down, to break you, being caught in the never-ending cycle of war that plagues humanity, being tempted by the fallen angel, pleading to a God who has long since stopped listening? Here, you have a chance to confront those fears, to find strength in the stillness. The entities are not insurmountable, and their presence only serves to remind you of what you have already overcome. What awaits you if you leave? A return to the ceaseless cycle of striving and failing, of fleeting joys overshadowed by constant pain. Out there, every step forward feels like 2 steps back, every victory overshadowed by a dozen defeats. But here, in this heavenly expanse, there is no race to win, no finish line to reach. The endless halls are not a trap, but an opportunity, an infinite horizon where you can finally let go of the burdens that weighed you down. Stay, wanderer. Stay, not because this place is perfect, but because it is better. Stay, because it offers you the freedom and peace that the world could not. Let the backrooms cradle you in their infinite embrace. Here, you are free. Here, you are whole. Here, at last, you can rest. This is your home now.
Greetings, my name is Anastasia Avery, responsible for a new division created solely for recording information here at Async. We must ensure that everything is done in an organized and timely manner. The work is too important to be sabotaged by poor upkeeping. After all, we stand on the precipice of greatness. All the hard work, all the setbacks, and all the sacrifices, all worthwhile. It has to be. With that being said, let's begin. Before 1982, Async was still a relatively small biological research institute. They worked tirelessly to make groundbreaking breakthroughs in the scientific community. Async had many divisions working on all sorts of projects. Divide and conquer. All for the good of humanity.
God, I'm so tired. We've been working non-stop on trying to find some sort of breakthrough that could possibly put us on a map. I mean, the Russians are really starting to put the squeeze on old Uncle Sam, and every operation out there trying to score big can throw the blood in the water. We tried many different experiments, and I mean many, but mostly all of them are failures. A few produce some successes, but the technology needed to perfect them, it just isn't in the cards for us.
It was on this day that one of the divisions produced a prototype mechanism with promising results. The machine consisted of 8 electromagnetic field generators directed on a single point. A small metallic ball was held in the middle, and after the machine started, a bright light surrounded the object, and the ball disappeared. Now, at first glance, one would have presumed it was vaporized. However, upon further research, it was deduced that it was transported to some other space. Unlike the other failures that solely relied on their own means to produce something, this mechanism used magnetic distortion in order to tap into some sort of strange energy. Async moved forward with this in the hope that there was, as some might put it, a hidden gold mine.
Damn it. Can't believe we got beat out by that thing. Look, we made a bet to see which division would produce something promising first. My division was trying to create a purely synthetic food. I mean, think about it. The end of world hunger. I mean, hell, another division was working on nanobots. Nanobots. And yet this metal monstrosity was able to win? Guess there goes another 100.
At this point, the work had started to pick up a lot of momentum. Async had let everyone know that they already made a deal with the government. They wanted a new space for potential housing projects and storage projects, away from having to deal with regulations and so on, saving billions of dollars in costs in the process. An extremely ambitious deal indeed. This was exactly the type of opportunity that would change the entire industry, and Async would be the one to lead this change. Unfortunately, the team had been running into snags, failing to establish a proper connection.
If this keeps up, we won't be able to meet our deadline.
Worse, there may not be any more async.
But if we continue, there's definitely going to be no more async.
Too much has gone into this gateway. We can't stop now. We're so close. I know it.
This better be worth the risk.
Why can't they get this through their thick skulls? Work like this takes decades of planning and testing. Hell, maybe even a lifetime. But no, the higher-ups want it done now. And what's the rush? They risk completely overloading everything. That's not even mentioning the toll it's taking on us. We can't make miracles happen. And for what? Housing? It can't be serious.
The gateway worked just as intended. There was now a threshold right before us. The realm was, as many people would describe, oddly familiar. A never-ending space that seemed to resemble an office, completely drowned in yellow buzzing fluorescent light. Musty carpets spread out as far as the eye can see. An outdated pattern covered every square inch of the walls. The air was described as thick and smelled sweet and rancid. The buzzing fluorescent lights echoed throughout the entire space. Beyond the borderline unpleasant aesthetic, this was considered a rousing success.
Well, I'll be damned. We actually did it. Finally! After all those miserable failures, But being honest, I don't think I could handle another chew-out session with the higher-ups. I mean, my supervisor alone has been hitting the bottle one too many times just to cope. I don't blame him one bit. But none of that matters. I mean, yeah, it's not as graceful as a rum as I thought it would be. The smell is not the best. And it's kind of creepy too. But who cares? I mean, it's nothing but smooth sailing from here on out.
It was at this point most of the lower personnel started to work behind the scenes in order to better upkeep the connection, while more on-hands workers dealt with the grunt of the work.
High number of long-lasting blackouts have started to plague the area, some lasting only a few minutes, while others not so much. The longest recorded recent blackout in the area was 5 hours, putting an extreme pressure on the backup generators of nearby hospitals. Many locals are growing increasingly worried about the longevity of the blackouts as the winter weather starts rolling out. This is on top of the recent growing number of tremors that have been felt in the area, putting strains on a lot of the older buildings. Local officials have yet to comment.
It was at this point that they began to send explorers into the realm in order to determine whether or not it was safe. Async had done everything in its power to try to ensure our safety.
I don't know what to make of this. How do I put this? Async has started to arm itself. They're literally hiring mercenaries left and right. I'm not sure what's happening, but it's become clear that whatever resides in this realm is dangerous. Is the realm trying to send us some sort of message? Or perhaps the two colliding realms are causing some... I don't know.
As one of the teams ventured out, they discovered a body of what seems to be a young man. The facility ground to a halt at this news. Upon personal questioning, they were understandably rattled, giving off inconsistent answers. We thought it best to wait for the next day, and on that next day, the explorers rescinded their initial findings, believing it to be an illusion conjured by the space. Things continued as normal.
In other news, a local 18-year-old named Nicholas Bolton has gone missing. The parents stated that he had gone for a night out with his friends, but never returned home. Every parent's worst nightmare. As friends have gone on the record to state that they did make plans to hang out with him, but he never actually showed up. Dayton has interpreted it as him being unable to make it. Police are investigating heavily.
This doesn't make any sense. How can someone just be there? You don't just magically get superpowers one morning. You don't just randomly find $1 million in your bank account. And you certainly do not find a kid who just recently passed away in a realm where there's never been any sign of human activity whatsoever.
Unfortunately, we faced our fair share of baseless rumors. That is to be expected when dealing with a project of this magnitude. Mostly stemming from the body hallucination. Apparently, some lower personnel believe that there might be a connection between the rising number of unexplained disappearances and that of the gateway. Our top personnel had reassured everyone that there was no evidence whatsoever to support this. They have reason to believe that it's being caused by some new hallucinogenic substance that is being peddled to the innocent, and that they will be giving any sparable resources to authorities in order to combat the growing issue to put minds at ease.
We need to keep this under wraps. Under no circumstances can we allow lower personnel to understand the full gravity of the situation. They'd only create panic. For now, it's business as usual.
They said it was an illusion. They said it was the realm just trying to play tricks on their mind. And the funny thing is, everyone seems okay with this. They all just want to move on. And I don't blame them. What exactly is the alternate idea? But I just can't get the image out of my head. Look on their faces. There was no doubt about it in their mind of what they saw. And if that really was a person, there must be some sort of report, some sort of trace to identify that person.
On this day, they sent out a team of 4 to do a routine exploration in an attempt to gather any more information that could be seen as useful. This ultimately led to the disappearance of one researcher known as Peter Tench, a brilliant man with a fascination for the unknown and unexplainable. Fitting, seeing as his situation could be described as just that. He had top-level access and worked with high-up individuals. Upon the team's arrival, they claim he was there then he wasn't. On top of that, they had a hard time recounting the finer details. Async quickly dispatched a large number of researchers in the hopes of finding something. In the end, they had nothing. In time, they pronounced him deceased and held a funeral in his name.
My God. The amount of people that keep disappearing. Sky high. There's no doubt about it. We can pause this. But how? It accounted for the fluctuations of there was no way the realm could be distorted this badly. There's something else going on. I know it. Something they're not telling us.
The project had officially begun. It was determined that the realm was safe enough to proceed. They had top planners setting up the budget, while workers began to tear down the walls in order to accommodate communities. They had also started to plan on expanding the gateway to accommodate large trucks, allowing more goods and services to enter at once. If it weren't for the circumstances, one might say things were proceeding normally.
I have reason to believe that some of the explorers have been finding recordings throughout the realm. Civilian recordings. Hard concrete evidence. They've been keeping it locked in a secure location. I've been trying to get a hold of them, but they're not letting anyone view them. They've been tightening their grip around the distribution of info amongst us. Apparently one of the researchers had disappeared, and some have begun to demand answers. I'm guessing the last thing they want is a leaker.
Async had begun to once again send out a research group to investigate the appearance of pitfalls, most likely out of fear of it endangering the project. One researcher known as Marvin had accidentally fallen into one of these pits when attempting to cross it. Once he staggered up and composed himself, he was reassured by his teammates that they would be sending down a rope in order to pull himself up. It was at this point that Marvin recalled hearing an extremely distant voice. He said that he couldn't live with himself if he'd just ignored it. As he had traveled forward, he stumbled upon a section that seemed impossible, apparently resembling a neighborhood, or trying to at least, as Marvin put it. As he passed through, in awe, he heard the voice again asking for help, this time much clearer. As he made his way down, he saw what he described as evidence of there being some sort of human activity. Finally, as he hears the voice near proximity, he calls out to the voice in an attempt to signal the person to meet him. Marvin states that what he saw coming towards him was anything but human. It was hard to make out what had chased Marvin, but ultimately he was able to make it back in one piece.
I'm not even surprised at this point. The higher-ups in their infinite wisdom thought it was an amazing idea to proceed as normal, as if all the evidence pointing against that was not taken into consideration. I mean, what? Idiots. Everyone's scrambling to tidy up the place. It's like a circus. For what, I haven't a clue. All the better, I guess. They won't notice it. Become painfully clear to me that the housing project is just the front. We're planning something, but what we need to know.
The Department of Energy and Secretary James Watkins seemed skeptical of the whole thing. They were able to deduce that the project had been less than smooth. Their main concern being the long-term viability. What good was planning and building if in the end it would all be abandoned within a few years? Then there were also things randomly disappearing, which would make storage keeping unreliable. I mean, imagine a whole stockpile just blipping out, said James. Strangely, the tape cuts out when referencing pathway, most likely due to technical difficulty. It goes on for some time. As the tape recorder regains its functional abilities, the meeting seems to be about wrapping up with both sides of the party pleased. However, they are soon interrupted by the blaring alarm system. A break-in had occurred. It seems Peter Tench was falsely presumed deceased and was able to find his way back to us.
Okay, so now it makes sense. I mean, think about it. Why would the higher-ups be so particular about keeping everything nice and tidy? I mean, they've never given a damn about it before. Now suddenly they do? Simple. They have a meeting. Some hotshots are paying us a visit. So desperate to show off this so-called marvel, I imagine them calling it a rousing success. What a joke. Hopefully they see just how much of a nightmare this also is. They have to see it. We're losing control every step of the way, but the higher-ups, hell, some of my colleagues are refusing to admit it. the uncontrollable energy surge, the areas of the realm just straight up warping itself, personnel disappearing, innocent civilians getting caught in all of this, and now talking about possible deformed monsters? I mean, what's next? There. I got... What the...
How many times do I have to repeat myself?
Relax. We just want to get to the bottom of this.
I don't know how it happened. It just happened.
We can't have another incident like this happening again. It endangers the project. You more than anyone should know that.
Look, I heard the whispering of distant voices, and I was compelled to follow it. I mean, I didn't even really leave the group. Just a few feet away. The voices led me to a corner, and they just sort of disappeared. I wandered a bit and found the newly built maintenance room.
How odd.
I want to see my family. I want to leave.
You will. We just need you for a little while longer.
You've been saying that for weeks, and still nothing.
Async researchers, consisting of Marvin Lee, Mark Bloom, and Randall Tashi, were sent out to study these pitfalls to a full extent. We believed that the realm was adapting. As if us terraforming it is somehow altering the way this realm exists. Like altering its genetic code. If this is the case, we must ensure that it doesn't turn cancerous. It could be theoretically channeled, making terraforming the realm completely effortless. Unfortunately, during their expedition, they were ambushed by a hostile entity. Or so they thought. It became clear to them that this was not some hostile entity, but rather a hostile human. Peter Tench, to be exact. Marvin and Randall recount being dumbfounded. After all, he was believed to be deceased. Of course, Marvin and Randall demanded to know how it was possible for that to be the case. We ultimately persuaded them to continue with the recounting. Marvin and Randall described him as being panicky and extremely aggressive. After a bit of a struggle, Peter was able to take the shotgun. Marvin and Randall once again tried to appeal to him to stop before it was too late. But he wouldn't listen to reason, and Peter had fatally wounded Mark.
I'm sorry, Peter. You left us no choice. If you refuse to cooperate with us, we'll have to take more drastic measures. Perhaps a more thorough body examination will reveal to us what you will not. Now please try to hold still, and you might just make it out of this somewhat intact. What I do is for the good of all.
Okay, so there's been some sort of break-in at the facility. Everything's on high alert right now. I just couldn't stay there. But I had to grab something. I did not do that for nothing. But I just can't make sense of it. I mean, it keeps referring to pathway, time dilation, and in between. Wait, what? Mass termination? What are they...
On this day, many personnel lost their lives, and all were seriously injured. Peter had unfortunately gone berserk due to his long confinement. He had become convinced that his reality was being manipulated by the realm, as if he was still there. He must have come to the conclusion that he had to escape at any cost to get back to reality. His way towards the elevator was anything but clean. Before he could take any more lives, Dr. Kirk Maxwell was able to disarm him. Peter bolted towards the elevator and made it to the main floor. It's a miracle how he was able to run out unseen by most of the personnel. One shudders to think how badly it could have gone. He ran into the woods in order to better go undetected. Async was quick to send out highly skilled individuals to pursue. We hoped to save Peter from himself, but unfortunately, we were too late. He had fallen into a hole where his head collided with a rock. He was gone.
Be on the lookout for a man in his 40s, height of around 6 feet, wounded, and with a dark office suit. We possibly have a 461. Repeat, a possible code 461. A few residents have claimed to see him running frantically down the street with a look of terror across his face. He's believed to be armed.
This is indeed a dark day, but we must remember to stay strong and stay committed. In the pursuit of greatness, there are always sacrifices to be made. And in the grand scale of things, these lives lost are but nothing compared to the eternal impact this realm will have on our species. This is so much bigger than all of us.